A lot of gay men are putting full-blown testosterone in these men's booties. So it's double dose of testosterone, which can create an angry bottom. Stay away from angry bottoms.
My definition of the trade is a man who's not outward with his desire for either gayness or his desire for women of trans experience. Trade is a forbidden fruit that we all indulge in. So you have your trade who will fuck anything with the wig on, you know? You have your trade that likes gay feminine males, you know, who wear hair, who wear nails, who, you know, are just feminine. You have some who like trans girls. The thing that is synonymous and consistent and the common denominator of all is that it's a secret.
Be safe. Because these Downlow men, they're spreading like STDs everywhere. Let me tell you, like the moment you don't wear a condom, you're gonna have chlamydia, trust me. They try you. They will tell you everything under the sun and they wanna be with you, they wanna spend more time with you. But the moment that that comes to fruition, they're nowhere to be found. Some guys are really great and they don't need to be down low. They'll be out without you on the subway, they'll go to dinner with you, they'll go to the bar with you, but these guys, they're gonna be up front. They're gonna be like, this is what I want to come to your apartment, and that's it. They lie. Downlow men lie like so much. Like they'll be like, oh, I haven't been with anyone this month. You're the only one I've seen. You're the first trans person I've ever been with. You're the first trans woman I've ever met. That's not true. If they're on Grindr and they're looking for someone, they've been with 5 of the girls already this month.
Do not believe the hype. Do not believe the lies the trade is telling you. The man might tell you you are the most sickening, most beautiful thing he's ever seen, ever laid eyes on. It's a lie. The man will tell you anything and everything to get into those little knickers and panties of yours. They will do whatever they can do. And it's lies because the trade will really be out here having sex with any person that is effeminate out here. And telling them, oh, I don't do this or I don't do that, or they'll tell the realest girl or like perceived most cis-passing girl like, oh yes, like I only fuck with girls like you, like no, you're this and that, the other. And the truth is just that they are literally getting blowjobs from their gay best friends on a Friday night. It does not matter what you look like, what you smell like, what you taste like, they will just come for you, girl. So do not listen, do not believe them, because it's all lies. It's just lies. And they will manipulate you and tell you things so that you think and you feel and you believe, but please do not believe it, because these dudes are for everybody.
Because we are in a situation that we're in as trans women, a lot of these guys can mess with the girls, and because everything is secret or they're on a DL, we will never know. The mainstream people will never know, and so they're able to navigate in secret without people really knowing, you know, who they are and what they're about. But please don't believe that you are the first girl, or you were the one, or you were just so cunt that, you know, you did some groundbreaking thing. Like, no.
Don't interact with guys who don't want to give out their numbers, their real names, you know, that just want to talk to you through an app or calling you from a text-free number all the time. It's a red flag. And stay away from guys who are always talking about, you know, they're hustling or they're looking for some money or they're trying to get, you know, it's a no-go with those guys, because they're looking at you as a hustle, and the first opportunity they have to get something from you or take something from you, they will. A lot of the times, these guys, they're high off of something. If it's not meth, which a lot of people use, Tina, it's coke or it's Molly, or they're excessively drinking, or, you know, it's something. So a lot of times these experiences, you know, these guys are fueled by, they just want to get off, and they have these insatiable appetites. So you have to be mindful of that too, you know. And if you are a girl and you just want that sexual experience yourself, you still have to be careful, because I know a lot of situations where girls have been intimate with a guy and then they've attacked them after.
So in regards to Downlow men or DL men, I'm gonna be coming at you as someone that used to be sort of like a Downlow DL type of guy because I've shared that same headspace. Hopefully I gave you some more insight into like what the mind of a fuckboy DL boy is kind of like. Always assume things are gonna go wrong. And I say this not because things always should go wrong, but because more or less the fact that a lot of the times it's never going to work out with cultivating a legitimate relationship. Because they're not going to be comfortable with themselves and how they feel about their sexuality and their desires, and they're not going to want to be seen with you, and anything that I guess compromises their personal space is going to be an attack on them and therefore an attack on you. So a bit about me, I tend to be a little bit more masculine compared to some of the other girls. I'm very proud of it. I just give off a very masculine energy. And sometimes I get very like buddy-buddy with a lot of other guys because that's just how I click with people, you know? And so they'll be out there thinking like, oh, she's probably just some like lesbian, or she's just like a really chill girl that I could really just, you know, I fuck with, you know, just like hanging out and stuff like that. But there were a couple of times where I would confide in friends that I thought we'd be getting on a much closer personal level with, that all of a sudden will sort of flip on me and then treat me like absolute shit. Masculinity is a very fragile thing. It doesn't take a lot for you to just start making cracks in the holes and for everything to just start falling apart. In terms of you like trying to uphold your masculine facade. Like even if I just didn't call a man a faggot, if I told him you kind of walk like a girl, you kind of sound like a girl, his immediate reaction would kind of be all like, "What you mean? What you talking about?" You know? It's just an immediate sense of how do I put this? Compensation.
They are living a double life. Some men don't know how to be real with themselves. So they have to lie and they put on this character to their family. Oh, I'm the trade. I got a girlfriend. I got this, that, and the third. But then late at night, you sneaking and peeping and putting things up in your mouth and, you know, playing a role of the cunt, honey, trying to bend it over and all this stuff. Know who you're messing with, honey.
We live in a season where guys are just hungry. I mean, like they want it. Like it's something liberating about she meat. You know, it frees them, you know, for a few moments. But once they finish getting it, once they've shot that load, once they've got that orgasm, someone who is hungry and always wants to get an orgasm and is always trying to get that nut, you know, be leery of that nut. Because that nut could necessarily be, once that nut happens, they release that and then their mind clears up and that guilt comes back, that Christian church religion. And if a boy is overly religious with the Christianity and the Muslim stuff and all that and the 5% stuff, and he wants you to fuck him in his ass or he wants you to put that thing in his booty, be very leery. Because those guys who fall under that patriarchy or religion, you know, that could backfire on you. You know, that's why, you know, I had to stop dating Christians. Because I'm just, it's the same script. Every time it goes the same way. It's that Christian guilt that those boys have. You know, meanwhile, you know, the brotherhood, they're continuing to fuck each other in the ass. You know, and they're continuing to penetrate each other behind the scenes everywhere, in church, in politics, on jobs, in colleges, in HBCUs, and all of these different entities. The brotherhood is they're anally penetrating each other. They're long stroking and deep dicking each other.
Secretly and discreetly.
Secretly and discreetly.
So right now, it's our generation of transgender, non-binary people, right? So it's almost like our job to deny and turn down these DL men, because that's gonna help the next generation not feel like they can do that to us, you know? The reason why they're killing black trans women specifically and especially is because of racism and transphobia mixed in together, you know? But I also think that the media has a lot to do with it too, because, you know, there's a lot of murders and these people keep seeing black trans women getting murdered for years and nothing being done. So it's almost like it's an example, and it shows that this human is not valuable enough, so if I hurt them, it's gonna be okay for me too. And I think punishing these people is very important. I feel like I feel more than ever, because of the way politics is, I feel that Black trans women who live in areas that are not New York or California should push to live in those cities, you know, because I hear a lot of these deaths happening in places that are very segregated and also very not in city-like environments, you know?
You be well aware of your surroundings and like having some sort of like mace or a taser or something so that like if something does go wrong, if something does happen, you can defend yourself. One trans woman told me passability doesn't equal safety, and when I heard that like made me well aware of like, yeah, you're right, like it doesn't matter how big your tits are, how snatched your face is, what your ass looks like, you can still get murdered, like something still can happen to you.
I don't let them know my schedule too much. You know, I live in New York, so the common trade is a street nigga, you know, is a scammer, he's a drug dealer, you know, he's definitely in the streets, you know, which means he knows people who are of the streets as well, probably a couple shooters, you know, or robbers. So you definitely don't want him to know your schedule or all up in your business too much, you know, really, especially the ones that you don't know like that, because they could be trying to case you up, you know, run up in your shit while you at work or while you're doing whatever you need to do. So don't let them in too much unless you know these people. Like, a lot of us are really ashamed to admit that we fetishize the trade just as much as they fetishize us. Like, there's a fantasy and a thrill that goes with being able to get this man that they think we can't have. You know, doesn't matter if it's at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, there's a thrill, and we fetishize them as much. So don't let your hormones and your lust get you in a fucked up situation with the trade, you know, because when you're thinking with your body or your unmentionables when you're horny, then sometimes you make foolish ass mistakes.
Well, first of all, be clear that you're trans. I think that's the number one thing, because people get surprised, they act a mess. Make sure that you're talking with them for at least a day before you hook up with them. Don't do anything last minute. I've done things last minute and gotten very lucky. But if you're talking to someone, make sure you're talking with them for a while and get a feel for them. Really get to know their personality, and if they're being pushy with you, that is not okay. You need someone who's gonna be calm. Because at the end of the day, if they're being pushy, you don't know that you get there and you're not comfortable with something that they're doing, what they're gonna do. Because they might very well, and it's happened to me, that this is what's gonna go down because I'm the man. I'm gonna make the decision for you. So make sure that you're talking with them at least for 24 hours and getting a clear picture of who they are and just being safe. And also, like, try to meet up earlier on, if you can. If someone's down low, have them come to your apartment and have people there so that if something happens, there's someone there. Try not to go to someone's place alone in the middle of the night on a weekend. People have been drinking. You know, you're walking down the street. You don't know who's who and what's gonna happen. So it's just precautions. You have to like be very careful. Obviously, don't stress yourself out and get so anxious over it that it becomes not fun for you. But just have a checklist of what your priorities are, and make sure that if they check everything, then you can go ahead and have fun. But other than that, like, it's not a good idea to just risk your entire life for a one-night stand.
For safety, tell the person that you're with, the trade, like, oh yeah, I told my friend I was gonna meet up with you today. I told them your name. I just texted my friend so she knows where we're going. Cause that will be that, he's gonna remember that, oh shit, like, her friend's gonna be, I'm not gonna do nothing cause this girl knows that where I'm at. Or be like, oh yeah, like I've done this thing where I make a big deal of being like, I just took a picture of your license plate and send it to my friend, and that will keep you safe, girl. Cause if trade gets spooked and scared, then since that was not the trade for you, honestly, and that is like the truth is like you need to be aware. Like if Trade is so scared that somebody's gonna know that you went with them anywhere, then that person could be the person that kills you. No lie. Because they're gonna be so nervous that someone's gonna find out that would be the person that would end your life, and that's not what we want at all. So be aware that you can do little things like, oh yeah, like my friend just saw you. Oh, look across the street, my mom's over there, she's waving hi. Or like anybody, like who's like, who are you talking to? Oh, my mom.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to? Oh, my friend, I just told her where I'm at. What's your name again? Oh, Alex? I'm with Alex, yep. Or like, oh, let's take a selfie. Click, real fast. Let's click, send it to your, like, or if it's like, you know, more down low and scary, don't go with them into like a dark alley. I feel like I've done stupid things in the past and I'm lucky to be alive. I've had sex with trade in abandoned buildings. I've had sex with trade in stairwells. I've gone with men and jumped in their cars in the middle of the night. And that's the shit that can get you killed. So my suggestion is you just don't do it. Better be safe than sorry. Like, no dick is worth it. The little coin you might get is not worth it. The validation is just not worth it, because at the end of the day, the statistic is we live until we're about 35 years old. I wanna see 50, I wanna see 60, I wanna be a 70-year-old tranny like Miss Major, living my full life and helping and supporting our community. And so in order for us to all get there, we need to stop doing stupid stuff.
Do not bring no trade to your house the first time you meet him.
If he comes over to your house, do not leave your purse, your wallet, any valuables around. Make sure you put those away, just so you don't have a situation where you get got. And put all your valuables in a safe spot that only you know, that he doesn't see, so you can have your things when he leaves. He might like you, but he's still a stranger and we don't know his motives. We don't know what his true intentions are. So we need to keep the playing field even. He especially doesn't need to spend the night at your house if he doesn't have a place for you to spend the night at. Don't be pressured into having sex without a condom with him. You should always be very suspicious when a stranger or somebody you're just getting to know is trying to pressure you to have sex without a condom. Don't feel pressured to do anything to keep this man. If he really likes you for you, he'll stay around, and you setting a boundary like using protection, that will be something that he'll respect instead of trying to challenge.
You better know how to keep yourself safe before everything. All penises ain't good penises, honey. Regardless if it's an extra, if you're doing sex work, they're offering you extra 20, extra this, extra. Girl, you better put that condom in the tip of your mouth and slide that shit up on right when he don't notice. Cause these guys, everybody ain't wonderful and special and able.
I'm not gonna say don't pussy stunt. What I will say is, what's the point? Because it really doesn't serve the same purpose like it used to, because people know like about trans women, even though they try to act like they don't or act like it's a new thing. Like, people know that we're here. So, and also you don't have to pussy stunt, because there are people that will like you for all the parts that you have or all the parts that you used to have. Like,
we kind of move away from how we have been dealing with men as trans women. I think a lot of us have accepted the role of being the fetish, or being that girl that this guy could, you know, come to or call to, you know. But after a while, if you really ask yourself, how does it really feel when a guy just calls you when he wants his dick sucked, or he wants you know, to be a sexual experience with you? How fulfilling is that for him to only call you at those times? And you know, and if you go and then you see him posting a picture, you know, with his girlfriend, or Valentine's Day or holidays, he's with his family, but he calls you the next day, or, you know, how does that, you know, feel? And I think that we have to stop allowing that, and stop doing things out of loneliness, you know.
So the thing about being Asian and being transgender is that there's kind of a stereotype or a notion that we tend to be the most passable ones in the community. Because I don't know, you could just say maybe we're just naturally born with more like androgynous features. So when we start taking hormones, it doesn't, it's not hard for us to sort of assimilate into culture and society. Because a lot of the times, I even relate to this personally, I don't have to outwardly tell someone I'm trans just to survive or just to pass through. But there's a lot of danger for a lot of Asian girls when it comes to dating, because with this sort of with the sense of privilege that they have, they think that they could do whatever they want when it comes to dating men. And so a lot of times I run into girls that will literally tell guys they're about to sleep with or hook up with in the bedroom, but they're thinking to themselves, I'm looking a certain way, I'm looking very feminine, he's not gonna touch me. But you gotta think back to what I was saying before. They're not thinking to themselves, I'm with a person right now that just confided a very important aspect of their identity to me. They're thinking to themselves, I'm in bed with a man. It's a very black and white world with them, and I think the sooner you accept that, I think the more better off you are in terms of knowing how to deal with these type of people. But to all my Asian trans girls out there, there is a level of passability that we have that we take advantage of. And sometimes I think maybe we take a little bit too much advantage of it to the point where it causes some of our downfalls. Because I think we're just as much prone to violence as any other trans woman out there. Just because we tend to pass a little bit more doesn't mean that we just get to walk away and like, you know, we don't get a get out of jail for free card, you know? Like we're all in this together. We really just cannot forget that fact.
You gotta be prepared up in this life because they love us, they admire us, but at the end of the day, they all do not want to expose what they're truly liking. Especially those ones that try you. If you are not as passable and you get clocked by the trade on your street or something like that, and then this one particular guy is bothering you all the time, that's an interior insecurity, because he secretly might be gay and don't even know how to interact with you. The only way he know how to interact with you is by calling you a faggot or trying to expose you. But all it's doing is exposing himself. No shade.
The safest thing to do is when you initially meet this guy to ask him questions about how he identifies. And if he tells you he identifies as heterosexual, that could be problematic. 9 times out of 10, it will be problematic.
Why do you think it's problematic?
Because those are the ones that might try to kill you. It's not about how he sees himself. It's not about how you see him. It's more about how the world sees him. And just the fact that he needs to hold on to that straight identity says that he's concerned about what the world thinks. You know, like if he says something like, I don't like labels. You know, what? I just like people. That's good. But if he says something like, you know, I'm straight, I'm heterosexual. Like if it's so strong, yeah.
They'll say that too.
Yeah, if it's that strong that he has to hold on to his idea, if he has to hold on to that label, if he's fixated on that straight identity, then that's something that you need to watch, because that's a red flag. A person who you want someone to want to be with you who's already wrestled with all of that, because you deserve that, because hopefully you've already wrestled with that by stepping into your truth and being a trans woman. But a lot of us, we rush our process so fast that, you know, there's actually girls, you know, who never experienced, you know, going through that period. Now, thanks to all of these surgeries, you know, you can go from a boy to unclockable like that. So, you know, the period in which you go through the ridicule or the shame, you know, and a lot of cisgender women have started to look like trans women through the surgeries. And so there's mass confusion now, kind of. So there are girls who are coming out in this generation that get that passable card really quick. And so because they get that passable card really quick, they don't really get a chance to come to terms with, hey, you know, they don't, you know, like when I was coming up, there was the drag queen period, the gay period, the female impersonator period, getting incarcerated, going into spaces where I was called by my boy name, where I was called he and him and misgendered, jobs where I was misgendered. That is not as prevalent anymore. So people don't have to deal, in this generation, a lot of trans women don't have to deal with that same stigma that we had to deal with as trans people. And so where that could be problematic is that you don't really get a chance to accept all of yourself, and to love all of yourself. And so when you meet a guy, he plays on that, and he can twist that around and use that to destroy your self-esteem and to bring you down. He can be the one that so-called reminds you of who you are. So, it's very important to come to terms with not only who you feel you are, but what other people might say about you. And so once you could develop a thick skin through acceptance, then you'll be able to have the conversations with him that you need to have. Because you definitely need to be able to say to him, look, people are gonna call you gay. People are gonna call you a faggot. People, how are you gonna feel about that? How are you gonna respond to that? How is that gonna settle with you? And his response to those questions are very important. If he says things like, oh, I'm not gay, the person who I was fucking is the faggot, you wanna run.
The world puts a lot of pressure on us trans individuals. There's pressure to fit a certain box physically. There's pressure to make others comfortable because of your own experience and your life experience. And it's taken a while for men to start coming out publicly, because obviously I feel like the show Pose and the little shows that are happening for trans women representation is helping out. But it as a trans person, it sucks seeing how much we've had to suffer in order for us to be viewed as valuable in public. The world really tries it. They really try to act like we are not, special, and like we don't shine, and they always trying to like damper our energy and our light. And that's what bothers me about DL men, because you're not gonna come to tell me that you're sexually attracted to me and that you like me, but you're gonna keep me a secret. Like, I should be keeping you a secret. I didn't transition in order to be beautiful or feminine or passable, because I didn't believe I was going to be when I was 17. I thought I was just gonna be a big old dude, and I just knew that I wanted to be a woman and I wanted to live my life as a woman. So my decision wasn't based off like, oh, I want to look beautiful, or I wanted those things because I felt horrible. When I went into it, I made a conscious decision to always tell somebody that I was trans. Because, once again, going back to the DL men, I never wanted to deal with someone not accepting me because of who I was. So I never allowed that. I actually get a rush from telling people, like, especially men, straight up, I'm transgendered. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the time when you're straight up, they're like, that's cool, They like it. It's like, I feel like if you go into a situation with confidence, and I think our generation of trans people the society have been conditioned so much into making being transgender a negative thing, that even saying you're transgender to someone, it feels like it's a negative thing. But being transgender is a beautiful thing, and it's a loving thing.
Yes.
And it's a very amazing thing.
You really need to be respecting yourself, because when you respect yourself, it makes all people, especially the trade, respect you in return. You set yourself up looking like you're for the okie doke, or like you're easily manipulated or easy prey, then the predator will get you. However, if you set yourself up for success by setting boundaries and respecting yourself, it'll make their asses follow suit, trust me. Snapple facts.
But do have fun with it, because Downlow guys are kind of fun. There's some danger to it for them, so ends up having, there's more, passion involved with it, and
think it's
Yeah.
you think a lot of the girls have a thrill?
It is a thrill. Let me tell you. Can I tell you about an experience
Yeah.
I had? So I fucked a married guy who had 2 children that were living in the apartment. So we had gone to the bar, and he was like really nice and all that, but like he was obviously like, I think because I have like a little bit of possibility, like, and we were like kind of, you know, we're on the side of the bar, we're like having our own thing happening. I went back to his apartment, and like his kids are home, and I'm like, oh, I'm the home wrecker right now. Like, this is kind of fun. You know what I mean? The wife isn't home. He was like, oh, the wife knows. Like, she wants me to sleep with other people. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. I don't care. Just like, let's get to it. Like, I'm here for a reason. But there is definitely a thrill to it because there's like so much expectation, especially when you start transitioning. You're like, I'm not gonna be able to be with guys that are hot. I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm not gonna be able to do that. I'm not gonna be able to, you know, find guys that are like respect me and like want to pleasure me. But it's not true. And in fact, like, even beginning a transition, you'll find plenty of guys who want to like, who are like cheating on their wife, they're cheating on their girlfriend because they want to have some pussy, you know what I mean? They want to, that's what they want. It's fun to like hook up with guys that think you're pretty, this and that, you know, and maybe it's some good dick, who knows? But just make sure to be safe in every aspect of the word.
I think there's something about being sex positive and being aware of your sexuality and in control of your sexuality. And I think there is a fine line between being in control and having your sexuality control you and understanding what you really want. And if it is like, oh, I want a relationship or I want this, that, and the other, then that is something that you should just wait for and pursue. But also, if you want to have sex with somebody, have sex with them. I think there is something to being sexual, but understanding and knowing that people are going to sexualize you as well. I think that's super important. I feel like in situations where trade is like always talking to you or always coming up to you on the street, sometimes you internalize that and your self-worth becomes like, how many men stopped me on the street today, or how many men catcalled me today. And as I get older, the further I distance myself from that form of validation, because at the end of the day, like, it doesn't do anything for me. Those guys aren't going to do anything for you other than be a quick thrill. But sometimes the quick thrill isn't worth the effects that it has on your mental health later. I feel like sometimes I think of myself in like the way that men think of me, and that can be fun and that can be cute. But over time, if you're constantly thinking about the validation of men and how you receive it, it can affect how you act and how you perceive yourself, and your self-worth can be lowered by that. And so I think it's so important to realize, like, these trades are for everybody. Like I said before, they really are for anyone, and that you can take that attention and the validation, but also understand that really the reason why you are yourself and that you're a woman is not for someone else's validation, but for your own validation in your heart. Be careful about who you're around. I think also something that we don't necessarily think about is like the girls that we're with too affect how we act. So sometimes being aware, like, I'm sober, and my lifestyle now is a sober lifestyle, but it didn't used to be that way. And so I feel like sometimes I realize that I have a lot less friends now than I used to because I've changed my lifestyle, and that's okay. And to try to surround yourself with people that uplift you and are also on the same wavelength as you, because not everything is about like how many dicks you sucked or how much money you made or like whether or not you got wasted or how much you drank or how many bumps you got or like what you were doing. What's really important is how you feel at the end of the night. Like, do you feel good? Are you happy with yourself? Do you have goals? I think that's really important. And with the men, it's kind of like, don't let them make you do something that you don't want to do. I can't stress that enough. I feel like I dated somebody who was a coke dealer, and it made me feel special. It made me feel good. I always had hair and clothes and everything, you know? He gave me everything, but at the end of the day, was I really happy? No. Did I look cute? Maybe. But I feel like my mental health was suffering because I was after this sort of fantasy. And that's what it is. It's a fantasy. It's not reality. So I think it's so important to not let someone beguile you into changing who you really are in your heart.
Don't settle for less than what you know you're worth. Being a trans woman is lonely. You get disrespected a lot. You get a lot of people on a lot of ends telling you what you should deserve and what not to expect, and you're this and you're that. But you just really have to not allow those voices and not allow those people to break you down to the point where you become a doormat for people, whether it be family or romantic partners, to treat you whatever way that they want to treat you. You are valuable. You have a purpose, and that should be respected. So don't settle for less than what you know you deserve, and don't compromise. Don't allow yourself to compromise for people that don't have your best interests at heart.
Don't give more than what you're receiving. Don't chase these guys. Don't. They're not the prize. I think that people will only do what you allow them to do. And we're the prize. And you hear a lot of people say that, hoes winning and stuff like that, and they try to play into that, and they want to be that hoe. And if you can become that whore that you think that's getting all these men, but you don't know if this woman is really happy living that lifestyle. And you don't know how that's going to affect you. I mean, you'll be empty just being someone's conquest all the time. So take value in yourself, and make people take value in you as well. You have to teach people how to treat you.
How was it for Korean trans women?
I'm not gonna lie, the LGBTQ presence in Korea, specifically for trans women, is almost little to non-existent. Oftentimes when I find myself in my circles with my trans friends, or like Asian trans people specifically, a lot of the times all the other girls are blown away. They're just like, "You're Korean?" Like, I've never come across another Korean trans person. I think we're definitely much more of a rarity because in Thailand specifically, the transgender population is actually very large. A lot of Westerners tend to eroticize or fantasize the fact that there is a very feminine looking woman out there that just happens to have a penis. I'm not sure what specifically draws them to ladyboys, or what it is about the penis that makes them so, I guess, it gets them so flustered, it gets them so, excited and stuff like that. But there is an extremely systematic problem of the sex trade in Thailand, because a lot of girls that end up maybe trying to work their way up or trying to survive on the streets of Thailand end up turning to sex work. And so oftentimes it's really a back and forth situation of men fetishizing these girls, and these girls are relying on that fetish just to survive it, just to make the money. And it's always constantly kind of feeding into one another. And I feel like it's really problematic, because I feel like it gotta go into this whole idea, they don't really treat these girls like actual human beings. They're just objects, they're just sex objects to these people, and that's all they're good for. And these people are human beings, and they deserve actual love, human experiences, something beyond the bedroom. And so it's really doing a disservice to us and also to the men as well.
I have been fortunate to actually say that I used to not be as passable. Growing up, I overcame so many challenges of being clocked, being robbed, being treated unfairly. And I feel like everyone has their own journey. Everybody has their own time. And it's all about putting yourself first. I couldn't rely on a significant other or a man to love me, or a family member to love me enough for me to say, oh my God, well, maybe I am beautiful. Maybe I am worthy. Maybe I am significant, or it could be significant to someone else. You have to start within. And once I really started living more for myself and not living for the affirmations of people from the ballroom scene and my peers, I started living for me. I started saying, well, what makes me happy? What makes me want to get up each day and put on my best smile and shake the devils and demons off regardless of whatever is around me? And that's because I love me.
What happens for us as trans women and as trans femme beings, we want to be the epitome of what it means to be a woman, and that's a made-up construct. A lot of times we're still trying to validate our own womanhood. And guys see that vulnerability in us. They see it and they attack it. Because I can remember being pre-op for me, guys would really use my pre-op status as a manipulative tool, even though a lot of them enjoyed the pre-op equipment. So we have to be
mind games. They play
mind games. And that's
there's something on it. They're telling you ain't a real woman.
Yeah, that's a form.
They enjoy.
That's a form of
the
control.
man part of it.
That's a form of control. That's a form of control. I've had guys come up to me and say they wanted to be with me, and once they found out I didn't have it anymore, they would shame me and they would say, "Oh, what you got rid of it for? Why would you do that?" Now, these are the same guys that would never be with me in public. These are the same guys that would never date me. And so my sisters who are pre-op, these guys are literally fighting them for their own penis. Like, these guys are manhandling them for their own penis. And when you're in jail, that happens a lot. You know, that's what they got those blinds up for. So that they could, not only so that they could get them, but so that they could take what you got and put it in them. But on the other side of that, a lot of gay men are putting full-blown testosterone in these men's booties. So it's double dose of testosterone, which can create an angry bottom. Stay away from angry bottoms. So if you have like a guy who's getting plowed by gay men, angry gay men, and angry trans women who are not taking estrogen, that's a lot of testosterone going into his booty. And so you have to think about all of that testosterone being compacted in his booty. So you might want to study his sexual patterns and see, you know, what type of girl he's attracted to, what type of people he's attracted to. Because, you know, some people like that rough, angry sex, and so they're attracted to rough, angry people. And so he might just be looking for a victim one night. You know, he might want someone he could release that on and then take that out on you.
Safety is priority here, you know? You gotta protect yourself. So many times drugs and alcohol and the thrill of being with the trade allows the guard to be down so much, and you never know what types of drugs they've been on. I think that that's a factor as well. You know, mental health, drugs, depression, you know, and some niggas is just crazy, bitch. Like, that's a factor too. Like, some of them just crazy. Stop with the crazy trade, you know.
A lot of guys don't see us as women. They see us as cross-dressers or feminine men, and they like that. But the moment that something happens, something goes down, they treat you like a man. And they want to fight like a man with another man. And some of these guys, they probably want to be women too. And they want to be with another trans woman because that's the closest they'll ever be to it. And I think some of it, a lot of what happens with these trans murders, it's either that their masculinity is threatened, or it has been threatened in their mind because they feel like they relate to you and they don't want to relate to you because it's wrong. So people act violently when there's a misunderstanding. Also, like, SESTA FOSTA needs to be repealed, and so Backpage can come back up so we can have some resources for sex workers so that we don't get into violent situations with men that we don't know because we don't have the resources anymore. Things like that.
Right, shout out to the sex workers.
Shout out to the sex workers, y'all killing it. It is hard. It's still.
When I was younger, I used to really be all about the man and the trade, and I wanted to feel cunt and all of that stuff and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the older I got and the more I realized that I needed to learn how to love myself. Because you're when you're in this world alone, and I think trans people, they feel a lot of responsibility into trying to make people love them, when in reality you need to just learn how to love yourself and say fuck them. You know, if they don't love you, you see, people are not gonna like you for many reasons. You know, some people are not gonna like you because you're not feminine enough, but they say they're trans allies, but they really only hang out with feminine and, you know, surgically enhanced trans women, but they will ignore those girls who don't have the luxuries of getting breast implants or facial femme or whatever that is. But yeah, learning how to love yourself, which I'm still learning how to do, you know. It's hard, but it's a very rewarding feeling when you start loving yourself and you value yourself, and then more valuable things come around you, you know. Don't rely on a man, honey, because take everything you can from them, but don't rely on them.
I think the idea of being down low is a fallacy, okay? We live in a reality where it's 2019, almost 2020, and almost every man has either looked at transgender porn, been around a transgender person, been attracted to a transgender person, met a transgender person and they didn't know it. So at this point, there's no point in being down low. Nobody is going to do anything to you. Like, if somebody is trying to ridicule you or make fun of you for your attraction to trans women, that just reflects on them more than it does on you.
My message to down low men is that you are not alone. There are so many men out there that are just like you, possibly your own homeboys. So what I want you to do is I want you to stand up, look in that mirror, and say, it's okay. It's okay.
To that man, like, if you want dick, and if you want to get, you know, you want to suck dick and you want to get fucked, if you want to have anal and oral sex, and you want to bottom, own it. You know, own it.
Do a background check on these niggas. Converse with the girls that you know in your city, because you know Trey hops from apartment to apartment with the girls. So hit your homegirl up. I'm sure she know him too.
This random thing, you know, just meeting guys, like, get more of a backstory on him, you know, because if you don't get the backstory, you could end up the lead story on the news.